All right, welcome to On the Record. I'm the host, Patrick Crowley. I'm also the co-host of Northern Kentucky Magazine with Nancy James here on ICN 6. My guest today is making national news, running in one of the hottest Senate races in the country. He is Republican Rand Paul from Bowling Green, running against Trey Grayson in the May primary. Dr. Paul, thanks for coming up.
Good to be with you. Glad to be here again.
We want to talk to you a little bit about your background, but first I want to ask you, why are you running for this seat, and why do you think Republicans are going to vote for you in May instead of Trey Grayson?
Right. Well, I'm a physician in Bowling Green. I have a family there, and I have a very nice life, and I wouldn't do this unless I were really worried about our country. I'm worried about the overwhelming debt that we're accumulating. I think what we're leaving for our kids and grandkids, but I think even more imminently, I'm worried about what the debt could do to our currency, that we could destroy our currency and really have chaos if we don't do something to turn around our government.
You are running a campaign that is getting an amazing amount of national attention. You've been on Fox News several times, been on Joe Scarborough's program. There was a New York Times story just in the last week or so. Let's show a little bit from that. Talking about your father, Congressman Ron Paul. Much like his father, who used the internet to raise more than $35 million for his long-shot presidential bid, Dr. Paul has tapped the enthusiasm of fiscal conservatives, libertarians, and young Republicans on college campuses. In the process, he has dashed his party's hopes that its preferred candidate, Secretary of State Trey Grayson, who is from Northern Kentucky, might cruise through the May primary unscathed. What have you tapped out there?
Well, I think people are looking for someone outside the system. I think we've gotten so many people who are inside the system. They go to Washington, they promise you that they're fiscally conservative, and then look, even when the Republicans were in charge for 8 years, we doubled the debt from $5 to $10 trillion. So a lot of Republicans, not just me, a lot of people across Kentucky we need to nominate somebody who believes in something and who will actually vote that way when they get there.
You know, the first time I met you, I believe, was last summer when you came up on a Saturday. Matt Tobin had arranged for you to talk to several business people, political folks over at his offices in Crescent Springs. I was impressed with your presentation, but at that point, it was a very long shot. You're no longer a long shot. The latest polls show this race pretty much dead even.
Right.
Are you surprised at how it's caught on, or did you sense it, given your father's campaigns and what he had tapped in earlier races?
We amaze even ourselves each day, but I can sense it when you're out there. When you give speeches to people, you can sense either they're all against you, they're halfway, and most of the speeches are given to establishment Republican crowds because they're Lincoln Day dinner crowds as we go around the state. But about a month and a half ago, I started noticing some of this was after we raised $1 million, but some of this was after people got to hear me some, that it's the same thing. You know, when you get up and you don't have the fear that you will actually say what needs to be done and people believe you, people are coming our way. And I get the feeling now when I leave an established Republican crowd, those who supposedly were picking this other person, we think we win even the establishment crowd. If we all speak, all the candidates speak, I get up and leave and think, I think we could poll this crowd right now.
Of course, there are several other Republicans in it, but you and Trey Grayson are the front runners. What are your thoughts on Secretary Grayson? Why are you different from him?
Well, I think the main difference is that he's a career politician. His whole adult life really has been either as a leading Democrat previously or now a leading Republican, but really always involved in partisan politics, either when he was a Bill Clinton supporter or now that he's a Republican. But really it's sort of an opportunism to get ahead, to get a career, whereas I tell people I'm not afraid not to be elected. So I'm going to tell them the truth. I'm not going to come to Northern Kentucky and say, you want a pork barrel project up here? What do you need? I'll give it for you. We don't have the money. We're out of money, and so I'm not going to go to Washington and earmark stuff just to bring it home to say I bring home the bacon. And that's what most career politicians will do, because that's how you get ahead and you stay up there a long time.
All right, you bring up earmarks. Are you opposed to all earmarks at this
I'm not going to earmark anything, and I've taken a pledge from the Citizens Against Government Waste not to put any earmarks on.
Then there will be those who say then you're not bringing tax money home to Kentucky. For instance, the Brent Spence Bridge, that would be an earmark, and that's a huge project up here.
Here's what I would say is we bring in $2.4 trillion in Washington, but we spend $4 trillion. We still have $2.4 trillion we could legitimately spend. When we spend that, let's spend it based on the quality of the project. So if the bridge project is a quality project and people from Northern Kentucky come and say, this is a legitimate and a quality project, let's vote on it based on the quality, but not based on my seniority. Look at what's happening. Robert Byrd has been there 50 years in Western Virginia, and they've paved every inch of Western Virginia, but it's not based on quality, it's based on his seniority, and it's this corrupted sort of graft. It's legalized graft is what it is.
So you would support some spending in Kentucky?
Absolutely, and I will defend and talk about good projects for Kentucky, but I'm not going to earmark them In fact, a lot of times, though, the funds are still there. Whether an earmark's on them or not, the funds may come to the governor of Kentucky to decide, and then people closer to you, your local state representatives, may be the ones deciding that it's a block grant of money that you decide where it's spent, as opposed to, see, when it gets to Washington, nobody really knows what's going on. Clerks are putting stuff in the middle of the night. People are getting, you give me $10,000 and I'll get you something in your backyard. I mean, that's the way it's going on, and the system's broken, and we're out of money. You know, the money's gone.
All right, we're going to take a break and come back with Dr. Rand Paul. He's a Republican running for Senate. We'll be right back. Stay with us.